News Talk on demand. Interruption-free audio where you want it, when you want it.
All I want to do is talk to you.
There ought to be an opportunity to present the other side.
All I want to do is talk to you.
I'm John Gormley. Welcome and thanks for checking in here. 'Tis the Friday edition, the week's ultimate open line session. So, what do we know about the latest developments? Well, most of the real harm done in Japan happened last night. It was about 1:15 to midnight our time when what you saw happen was this immense quake. The epicenter was about 370 kilometers away from Tokyo. Coastal regions, because of course it happened underground or under the water, the coastal regions were hit by this incredible tsunami, nearly 30 feet high. This wave came in, and that's the really gripping thing you're seeing. Now, at first, for the first number of hours this morning, 50 dead, 60 dead. Then the discovery in a northeastern city of between 200 and 300 bodies. There is a news report, and I asked one of the CNN people about this right at 8:30, and he said he was unfamiliar and couldn't comment on it. But it is now coming out through the Kyoto News Agency that a passenger train with a number of people on it is unaccounted for. So the hunt is still on to find out what happened to that passenger train. There's also been a report of one boat with a number of dock workers, up to 80 dock workers, that at some point may have disappeared. But again, all of this is early. But I think particularly when you see that bizarre aerial picture, it looks like lava flowing in, and it's this water moving inland across farmland and rice paddies, sweeping behind it. Buildings, boats, vehicles, just more debris and detritus. You know the death toll will not be 1 or 200. You know there will be many more people. So as the cleanup goes on, we're all at this point now of looking back and helping the people of Japan get through. And it's the middle of the night there now, what has been a very, very trying last 10 hours for them. So where does the story go from here? Well, the rough waters and the tsunami warnings moved out from Japan. First of all, there were 20 nations involved, countries, particularly the Philippines, areas of Indonesia, those areas bordering on the Pacific, began to discontinue tsunami warnings. Some waves hit Hawaii and the West Coast, California, Oregon, into BC, as much as a 3-foot sea level rise. So not enough to go onto land and cause any serious damage, but essentially rougher seas. So it will be in coastal areas, slightly higher waters, more waves being reported throughout today. So that's what we know at this hour. And as we begin to hear anything more, or as we get updates, status reports, what have you, you will be the first to know here. Well, I'm so glad you're here on this Friday edition. Friday is when we turn the phones over to you on anything you want to talk about at 1-877-332-8255. Now, two stories dominating today. The decision by the provincial government to abandon the plan to hold a referendum on time change. Now, this was a plan, and even at the time, and this is an interesting one, I used to try to pin down Brad Wall when he was the opposition leader. Like I had pinned down Lorne Calvert, like I had pinned down Mr. Wall's predecessor, Elwyn Hermanson. Both Mr. Hermanson, Mr. Calvert, I'd said to them, hey, if you have the opportunity, for Hermanson, it was if you ever get elected, he didn't. With Mr. Calvert, it was, would you hold a referendum on time change? Premier Calvert, right in this studio, looks at me and says, yeah, we'll do that. I said, oh, good, the Premier's going. A little bit later, no, we're not going to do that. Clearly, he got advice. It's best to leave the time issue alone. So I used to try